This do-it-yourself lip sugar scrub can help you to become a successful speaker. And I am excited to tell you how. Hi, my name is Dr. Shalonda Jones. I created the I Am Speaking strategy. The I Am Speaking strategy gives entrepreneurs and professionals who have leadership positions specific steps they can take to transform their concerns with public speaking into confidence to give a speech successfully. I give tips all the time, so hit the subscribe button so that you can get regular updates on strategies and tips you can use to help you become a confident and successful speaker. For now, in this conversation, we are talking about how an activity as simple as making your own lip sugar scrub can help you to become a successful speaker, and how to determine if an activity like making your own lip sugar scrub will help you when you are preparing for your presentation. Thank you for this opportunity to have this conversation with you. Let's get started. Thank you for joining me in this conversation on how something as simple as making your own lip sugar scrub can help you to become a successful speaker. I know that sounds a little far out, but I have a personal story I'd like to share with you that attests to how I discovered personally that making your own lip sugar scrub, doing something as simple as making your own lip sugar scrub, can help you to become a confident speaker. When I was preparing for my final presentation in the PhD program, 2 weeks before time for me to give the presentation, I noticed that I was experiencing distress. If there is a disempowering emotion that will try to interfere with public speaking success, distress is certainly one of those disempowering emotions. Now, when it comes to public speaking, I have a very high level of self-awareness because I love giving speeches. And I knew that I was experiencing distress specifically for two reasons. First, the messages in my mind were trying to convince me that I had taken on a project that was just too big for me, and I was in over my head, and I needed to call my dissertation chair, Dr. Jenny Walker, over at Indiana Tech, and tell her that I probably would not make my defense because something horrible has happened, and the best excuse I could come up with was the most traditional excuse. My dog swallowed my flash drive. That was all I could come up with. But I also knew that that was not a customary line of thinking for me when it comes to public speaking. So that was my first key indicator that I was experiencing distress. The second key indicator was the fact that there were some symptoms in my body. I was losing sleep. And because I was losing sleep, I was becoming easily agitated from a little bit of fatigue. And I also lost my appetite. Now, when I lost my appetite, I knew without question, if I couldn't eat, I was experiencing distress. And that's when I was able to determine what specific steps I needed to take to become grounded and transform the disempowering emotion of distress into the empowering experience of eustress to give my speech successfully. And that's when this little activity of making my own lip sugar scrub helped me to transform my concerns into confidence. So what's the point? The point is self-care is critical to your public speaking success. I think we will all agree that it is impossible to pour anything from an empty vessel. That's why we deliberately create a mood to be enthused about our presentations by taking care of ourselves first. And when we take care of ourselves first, when we invest in ourselves, then we are positioning ourselves to become better able to service other people. One of the first things I teach when it comes to the I Am Speaking strategy is to identify the specific disempowering emotion that you are experiencing when it comes to giving a speech. There are many, many, many disempowering emotions. However, 4 of the more common disempowering emotions associated with public speaking are fear, anxiety, panic, and distress. They are different but often confused as the same emotional experience. Now, I'm often asked, why does it matter? Why do you need to know which specific disempowering emotion you are experiencing? Well, since they are different, there are specific steps that you need to take to address each one. Additionally, a person who has a raised self-awareness, they're in tune with their body and the symptoms they are feeling in their body, and they know what those symptoms represent for their emotional state, are in a position to take control of the disempowering emotion. Because let's get one thing clear: if we do not take control of disempowering emotions, they will try to take control of us. Now, in a previous video, the How to Face Your Fear video, if you've not seen that video, the link is in the description. I talked about our personal protection system. It's technically called the amygdala. It's the size and shape of an almond, and it's a compartment in our brain that activates the fight, flight, or freeze response. Well, again, we need to do something to activate a brain chemical reaction in our brain that will help us to feel empowered. I'm going to tell you a story about one of my students to help you remember the specific chemical that we should activate in our brain on purpose to help us feel empowered when we are experiencing distress. I had a student at Delta State, Virginia. Virginia, if you see this video, or when you see this video, reach out to Dr. Jones. You were such a rock star in science. I want to know what you're doing these days. But anyway, Virginia had a tattoo behind her ear. And one day I asked Virginia, what is that tattoo behind your ear? And she said, it's the chemical formula for dopamine. I said, why do you have the chemical formula for dopamine tattooed behind your ear? She said, because it makes me happy. Dopamine is the chemical that is released in our brain when we feel happy. My point is, when we engage in self-care activities like making our own lip sugar scrub, we release that happy chemical in our brain called dopamine, and it puts us in a mood to feel enthused about giving our presentation. Now, making your own lip sugar scrub is not for everybody, but this is how I discovered that this particular activity, making my own lip sugar scrub, helped me when it was time for me to get ready for my dissertation defense. First of all, fine dining is one of my favorite types of self-care activities. One of my fondest memories from college was when I had the opportunity to have lunch at Chateau Frontenac in Quebec, Canada. But remember, I was experiencing distress and I didn't have an appetite, so that really was not an option for me to go out and have dinner at a wonderful 5-star restaurant. The second activity that I love, my second self-care activity that is one of my favorites, is to take the Fighting Okra with me from Delta State University on a Caribbean cruise. Now, as great as Cassandra is, she owns I4U Travel, as great as she is at getting my last minute travel plans together and sending me on a wonderful vacation, I didn't have time for that, because remember, I had 2 weeks. So when you're selecting a self-care activity, number one, consider the amount of time the activity will take. 2, make sure it's something that you're already familiar with knowing how to do. You don't want to try to learn a new self-care activity while you are getting ready for your presentation in an effort to overcome distress, because that will only contribute to the distress. So make sure you consider how much time it takes, and also make sure it's something that you already know how to do and love doing. Well, for me, I love self-care, pampering myself. I absolutely love sugar scrubs. That's one of my favorite things, and I've learned to make my own sugar scrubs. And I realized that I had all of the ingredients in the kitchen to make my own lip sugar scrub. So I immediately go to the kitchen and put 2 teaspoons of olive oil. I'm sorry, this is coconut oil. Coconut oil. And usually coconut oil is in a solid state. So of course I had to boil some hot water, put the solid 2 teaspoons of coconut oil over in a heat resistant container and let it melt so that it could get to the liquid state. I put 2 teaspoons of coconut oil in a container, 2 teaspoons of almond oil in a container, 1/4 teaspoon of grapeseed oil in a container. And you'll need more sugar than I have here, but this is brown sugar. 1/4 cups of brown sugar in a container. And sometimes to increase the exfoliating property of the scrub, I might put 2 teaspoons of white sugar. Put them all in a container together, mix them together like this, and I felt so happy mixing together my lip sugar scrub. And I won't put my lip sugar scrub on the video, but I did put my lip sugar scrub on my lips. And warning, if you decide to make the lip sugar scrub, it tastes great. Don't eat it because it's loaded with sugar, and sugar may give you a burst of energy and then cause you to crash. That's not what we're seeking. That's not the outcome we're seeking either. After about 5 minutes, I wiped away my lip sugar scrub. I came back into my workspace in my home with my little container of my lip sugar scrub, and I was so happy. And I was able to work towards preparing for my dissertation defense in a much better mood. I've shared with you how I discovered that an activity as simple as making your own lip sugar scrub can help you to become a successful speaker. Making your own lip sugar scrub is not for everybody, so comment below. Tell me what your self-care activity is. As I wrap this up, thank you very much for the opportunity to have this conversation with you. I'm sure you will remember that self-care and self-awareness are paramount to your public speaking success. They're critical for your public speaking success. And as you are transforming your concerns with public speaking into the confidence to give a speech, and you decide to engage in a self-care activity, ensure that the self-care activity will not take away time necessary to prepare for your presentation. It is something that you already know how to do, and it will release the dopamine that will put you in a mood to feel enthused about your presentation. Until we speak again, be audacious. Have the nerve to do something today that will make your greatest ambition your greatest accomplishment.